In my previous lecture, I have discussed the two cavity klystron amplifier. In this lecture, I will discuss the microwave oscillator based on the reflex klystron. Instead of the reflex klystron, we can use the two cavity klystron which was used to design an amplifier, but there are several disadvantages, so that we generally avoid to use two cavity klystron or multi cavity klystron in designing microwave oscillators. So it is better to use the reflex klystron, which is based on a single cavity, whereas the two cavity and multiple cavity uses obviously the multiple cavities. So I'll discuss the demerits and merits and demerits of the two cavity klystron amplifier, and what is the merit of the reflex klystron amplifier, that will be discussed in designing the microwave oscillators. As already you have studied the two cavity klystron, the reflex klystron, which is based on a single cavity, is just an extension of the idea of two cavity klystron. But here, instead of the amplification, we prefer the oscillation, and as we know, in designing any kind of oscillators, we should provide the positive feedback. So the basic idea that I will discuss is based on the application of the positive feedback using a single cavity, which is called the reflex klystron. The velocity modulation also will takes place over here, but the velocity idea of the velocity modulation is similar to the two cavity klystron with a little difference, so that I will cover in this lecture. And the most important one is the power and efficiency of the oscillator that I'm going to design, or you should design as a microwave engineer. So therefore the power and efficiency is one of the most important, and that will be covered in this lecture. We know that the oscillators play important role in signal generations, but in microwave frequencies, in addition to signal generations, the oscillators are used in microwave measurements and as a local oscillator in microwave receivers for commercial, military, airborne Doppler, and for missiles also. Now, the basic idea behind an oscillator is the positive feedback. First of all, before going to discuss the reflex klystron, I will discuss the idea of oscillation using two cavity klystron. However, mainly reflex klystron application of the reflex klystron will be discussed finally. Now, we have seen in case of two cavity klystron, so there exists one Bancha cavity first, from where the electron beam first interacts with the RF signal, and the next one was the catcher cavity, where the velocity modulated electron beam give up their energy and produces the amplification. Now, in designing the oscillation, we need a positive feedback, and in order to achieve that, the fraction of the electron which are leaving the catcher cavity, we should reflect them back to the buncher cavity, so that the loop gain should be unity, and the phase shift, that should be multiple of 2 pi, and this is the condition for loop gain, as we know. Now, this is the condition for positive feedback. This is the condition for loop gain and the phase for positive feedback. And if these two conditions can be maintained, then the system of the two cavity klystron produces the oscillations in microwave frequency range instead of the amplification of the microwave signal, and the oscillator frequency will be equals to the resonant frequency of the two cavities. The major disadvantage of using two cavity klystron is that if you want to change the frequency of oscillators, then you need to readjust the resonant frequency of both of the cavities, as well as the phase shift which is required for the positive feedback. So that phase shift you also have to modify or change accordingly in order to achieve the positive feedback and consequently the oscillations. So this is the one of the major drawback of the two cavity klystron. So that is why it is better to use single cavity klystron instead of the two cavity klystron, because the adjustment or modification of the resonance frequency of a single cavity is much more easier than the adjustment of the two cavity klystron. The reflex klystron, on the other hand, uses single cavity, and in the range of frequency from 1 to 25 gigahertz, the reflex cavity klystron produces the power of 10 milliwatt to 500 milliwatt. It is a low power generator, although, and the efficiency is around 20 to 30%. The scheme of the oscillation using the reflex klystron is shown over here. The reflex klystron uses a single cavity. The electron beam gets generated from this cathode, enters within this cavity gap, and this electron beam interacts with the cavity gap voltage. This one is the cavity gap voltage, and the velocity modulation takes place. And as we know, the velocity modulation takes place due to the bunching process of the electron, and the bunching process is done because the electron beam which passes the gap during the negative half cycle or retarding phase of the gap voltage, so those electrons gets decelerated, and the electrons gets accelerated when they are passing during the positive half cycle or accelerating voltage of the gap voltage. And in addition to that, the electrons remain unchanged in velocity when they are passing at the node voltages of the applied gap voltage. And but in this case, in the case of reflex klystron, after passing those velocity modulated electrons through through this gap, they approaches to this rippler end. At the rippler end, those electron experiences a rippled voltage, and due to that rippled voltage, those electrons gets rippled and get back to the first cavity. In this way, the feedback path is applied, or we can achieve the feedback. Now, one thing I should mention over here, due to presence of the velocity modulation, some of the electrons are accelerated and some are decelerated and some are unchanged in velocity. Now, the electrons which have been accelerated due to the accelerated force or the accelerated voltage of the gap voltage, they penetrates a little distance more towards the rippler end. Then those electrons which are decelerated or remains unchanged in velocity when they are leaving this cavity, the single cavity. So therefore, the first one, if I consider, this one is for the accelerated voltage, accelerated electrons. This one is for electrons which are remain unchanged in velocity when they left the cavity gap, and these are for the decelerated electrons. So the first one penetrates a bit deeper into towards the rippler end. The second enters comparatively smaller towards the rippler end, and the third one, which is the corresponding to the decelerated electrons, they enter a less distance towards the rippler end, and all of these electrons gets rippled back and finally reach the first cavity. And during this path, starting from this cavity, when they are leaving the cavity and approaching towards the rippler and rippling back towards the cavity again, during this entire path, the electrons gets bunched due to this fact, due to velocity modulation and the difference rippling time, because the electrons which are entering deeper towards the rippler end, so they should get longer time to reach the cavity compared with the other two electrons or other two group of electrons which are entering a less distance towards the rippler end. But all of these three set of electrons should reach this cavity at the same time, and that is why bunching of electrons is taking place, and this bunching of electrons is taking place once per cycle. And when these bunched electrons are leaving this cavity again, during the retarding phase of the cavity gap voltage, then they should give up their energy, and that energy can be used to produce the oscillation in RF frequency or in microwave frequency range. Here you can see I have outlined the major points for the working principle of a reflex klystron amplifier that already I have discussed just in my previous slide. Here in this diagram I have shown you the rippled back electron, how the rippled back electron gets bunched when they are reaching the first cavity. Basically, the electrons, when they are leaving the cavity and they are approaching towards the rippler end, then the electrons which are leaving at the time instant A, they gets accelerated because they left the cavity during the positive cycle of the cavity gap voltage. You can see from here. But the electrons which are leaving the cavity at the time instant of B, their velocity remains unchanged because they are leaving at this time instant of the cavity gap voltage, where the cavity gap voltage is 0. On the other hand, the electrons which are leaving during the retarding phase of the cavity gap voltage, they gets decelerated. But finally, after being repelled back from the rippler end, all of these electrons should reach the cavity at the same time instant D, you can see from here. And the positive feedback can be achieved if you can arrange that their return should take place at the same time from where at the same time instant when the cavity gap voltage would be equals to that voltage when they have started to be velocity modulated. Because we know for positive feedback the total phase shift should be 2 pi. So if you consider that at this half cycle the first electron beam gets interacted with the cavity gap voltage, then you have to confirm their return during the same time instant when the cavity gap voltage is attaining the equal phase, that means the 2 pi distance. So in this way you can arrange or you can apply the positive feedback. Other than this one, you can allow or you can rearrange the rippler voltage in such a way that instead of being returned at this time instant, they can return at this time instant. So this is another integer multiple of 2 pi if you are considering from this time instance. So this also will provide the positive feedback, but the mode will be different. As you can see, the first one is called 3/4 mode and the second one is called 7/4 mode. Later on I will discuss more on these particular modes. The time period corresponding to the 2 pi phase shift we know, and here I have denoted as capital T. But the calculations will be done with respect to the time instant from where the electrons are leaving the cavity with unchanged velocity, that means with this time instant. So with respect to this time instant and when they are reaching back to the cavity again, so this time duration is denoted as T naught, and this 3/4 mode 7/4 mode is generally considered with respect to this time instant. You can see this is, if you divide, because this T duration or 2 pi duration can be divided into 4 sections, 1 2 3 4. So if you start from here, so this will be the third section out of the fourth, because 1 2 3 4, so this will be the third section if you consider with respect to this one. So this will be one period with respect to this one, and this will be this will be another 7/4 mode. So in this way we define mode over here, because we generally measure or in our calculation we prefer to use the time instant when the electrons with unchanged velocity leaves the cavity. However, but the phase we do consider for the electrons when they gets accelerated and when they are leaving gets accelerated, that means this time instant A. So that is why we are considering the total T. And as I told that you can arrange the Rippler voltage such that uh, the bunched electron can be rippled back after nt times. For n equals to 1, uh, the returning time is this instant. For n equals to 2, returning time is this instant, and it produces the second mode. And in a similar way, if you increase the number, if you decrease the Rippler voltage, you can allow the bunched electron to reach the cavity in later time, corresponding to the integer n times of the fundamental period t of the cavity gap voltage. And these modes can be written in a general manner as shown over here. And for maximum ripple voltage, the returning time will be smaller, and if you maintain the 2 pi phase during their return, then with the application of the maximum ripple voltage, the n should be 1, and that is corresponding to the fundamental mode of the oscillators. Let's discuss the velocity modulation for the reflex klystron. So before discussing that, I am assuming that the electrons are entering the cavity at this time instant t0, and the cavity gap length is d, and they are leaving the cavity gap at the time instant of t1, and they are returning during the returning field of the cavity gap voltage at the time instant of t2. Now the initial velocity that already I have shown during the discussion of the two cavity klystron, here also the initial velocity should remain same, and the electrons leaving the cavity having the cavity length of z, and at the time instant of t, those electrons will be velocity modulated, and the expression for the velocity modulation will also remain same, equal to the previous one, that means equal to the two cavity klystron, because right now we are within the first cavity if you compare with the two cavity klystron. So the velocity equation for the velocity modulation will remain same, but the retarding field, which is the new one for the klystron oscillator, I mean reflex klystron oscillator, is equals to this one, the total voltage divided by the length or the distance, or you can say it is a separation between the Rippler end and the first cavity, because we know the electric field is can be represented as the negative gradient of the potential. So as it is the electrons are returning due to the returning field, so returning field means all of them are negative, so this negative sign gets cancelled. So that is why the total voltage divided by the separation between them, because it is the one dimensional case I am considering. Now since this V1 sin omega t is or the magnitude peak amplitude V1 of the cavity gap voltage is very small compared with the rippled voltage as well as the voltage used to DC voltage used to produce the electron beam, so we can neglect this part comparing with this VR and V0. So finally the retarding field can be written as shown over here. Now we can equate the acceleration of the electrons with the retarding field by establishing the force equation, where the force is equals to the product of the mass of the electron with their acceleration, and as well as this is the force of the electron in electrostatics. So by equating them, we can establish this equation where E I have already obtained in my previous slide. Now the rest part is very simple. Here I am integrating once in order to obtain the velocity of the electron over here, and this is the simple form of the integration where the K1 we have to determine, and K1 can be determined using the boundary conditions, where this is the first boundary condition, this at t equals to t1, when the electrons are leaving the cavity, then the velocity will be equals to vt1. So this is the velocity modulated electrons which are leaving the cavity. So if you put this t equals to t1, this part gets cancelled and this velocity will be equals to this one, and k1 obviously becomes the velocity modulated electrons at the time instant t1 when they are leaving the cavity. The distance Z that can also be obtained by integrating twice of this expression. Obviously, another constant that will appear K2, this is the integration constant, and that can also be obtained using the second boundary condition. Let's see. And here is the boundary condition. At the time instant t1, when the electron beam is leaving the cavity, they have covered this distance, that is z equals to d. So after replacing all of those variables, we can obtain that k2 is equals to d. Therefore, the final expression for the z we can obtain as shown over here. During their return, that means that during the return of the electrons after being repelled back, they are reaching the first cavity, the distance z equals to d. They are not covering the distance z equals to d, but they are reaching that time instant and that distance at which and from which they left the cavity. So therefore, the total distance they have covered after the time instant t2, because at the time instant t2 they return to the first cavity, so the total distance they have covered, that should be 0. So if you put here 0 and at the time instant t equals to t2, then the difference t2 minus t1 will be called the round trip transit time in the repeller region. And from this expression we can easily obtain the expression for the transit time as shown over here, and this t naught we have rearranged to collect all of these variables that represents this t naught. Similar to the two cavity klystron, multiplying this angular frequency omega with the time difference or the round trip transit time t2 minus t1, we can obtain this expression. Here the theta naught is equals to omega times t naught. If you multiply this omega with the t, so the omega will be multiplied with the t naught, so that I have defined as the theta naught dashed. And similarly, this rest term I have defined as x dashed, similar to the case of two cavity klystron amplifiers. Next is the output power and the efficiency. The repelled electrons are coming back to the cavity periodically and producing the current that contributes in the oscillations. So therefore, that current can also be considered as the periodic current. So therefore, a Fourier series can be used to represent that periodic current in a similar manner that I have used for the two cavity klystron. So the final expression for the Fourier series of the returned current or the current produced from the returned electron can be represented as shown over here, and the fundamental component for this, which is we need the fundamental component similar to the two cavity klystron when I have discussed, will be associated with the expression, with this expression. This is the fundamental component for n equals to 1. Now in this case, the theta g I have neglected, because theta g, if you compare with the two cavity klystrons, so theta g is the arrival angle to the catcher cavity. So here I have neglected this one. And we know during the time of their return, the retarding phase of the cavity cap voltage should be such that they can give up their maximum kinetic energy. So the maximum current I should have to consider. So this is the maximum current, and the maximum current of the fundamental component. So therefore, this current I am considering out of the final expression that I have obtained. Now the DC power that can easily be obtained, this is the product of the V naught times I naught, where V naught is the DC voltage used to produce the electron beam. On the other hand, the AC power that can be obtained by multiplying this V1 with the I2, where V1 is the peak amplitude of the cavity gap voltage and I2 is the fundamental component of this Fourier series that I already have obtained. And now it is very easy to define the efficiency, which is equals to the output power, that is the AC power, to the DC power. So after replacing all of their expressions, I am getting this expression where this ratio V1 to V0 exists, and V1 to V0 can easily be obtained from this expression. This is the expression that already obtained for x dash, and this is the theta naught dash, and the round trip transit time can be associated with the round trip transit angle by multiplying this frequency term, angular frequency term, with this. And finally, this round trip transit time can be related with the mode numbers as shown over here. And after knowing all of these parameters from these three expressions, we can easily obtain the ratio of V1 to V0, because out of these all parameters, the only unknown is x dash. So that is why these, after replacing of all of these parameters, here the x dash term is appearing in this expression of the efficiency. And x dash can be found in a similar manner that I have found in the case of two cavity Klystron, because x dash is associated with the first order Bessel function J1, and this x dash times J1 of x dash can be plotted as shown over here, and such kind of plot indicate the maximum value of this function. That means this is the, as shown, you can see the y-axis is x dash times G1 times x dash. The maximum value of this one we can obtain for x dash equals to 2.408. So right now it is known to you the maximum value of x dash, and from here the maximum efficiency for the reflex klystron amplifier can be obtained as 22.7%. In my last derivation that I have used in my last slide, I have used the first mode number corresponding to the cycle number small n is equals to 1 in order to achieve the maximum efficiency. But as I told, the mode can be varied, or mode can be achieved by varying the Rippler voltage. So here I need to establish a relation between the cycle number, which is associated with the mode number through this expression, with the Rippler voltage. And such an expression can easily be obtained by knowing all of these equations. Here the Rippler voltage is associated with this T naught, and in this expression all other parameters are known to you, because V naught, this is the small v naught, which is the initial velocity of the electron beam, and from this expression this is cycle number is appearing within this expression. And finally, after replacing all of this expression over here, you can establish a relation between the Rippler voltage Vr with the cycle number, and that cycle number in turn is associated with the mode number. So the mode number, in this way you can relate with the Rippler voltage. So by varying the Rippler voltage, you can change the particular mode at which you want to operate your oscillator, and for that the AC power will take this kind of expression. Now, what will be the effect of these modes on the range of the frequencies? You can see this is the this is not the lowest order mode. Lowest order mode is the 3/4 mode for n equals to 1. This is for n equals to 2. So, or the cycle number is equals to 2. So, the 7/4 mode. So, for this mode, this is the range of frequency over which you can operate your oscillator. If you increase the mode number or the cycle number as well, then the operation frequency is shrinked further. You can see from the these two figures. If you compare this one with this one and this one with this one, then you can see the range of frequencies are being shrinked if you increase the mode. So in this way, if you increase the number of modes, then the efficiency also gets decreased, because mathematically the cycle number appears at the denominator of the efficiency that already I have derived. So in this way, with higher order mode, you will have less efficiency. Physically, you can say if you increase the number of mode, that means you are reducing the Rippler voltage and allowing the electrons to reach the cavity at some later time, or you are introducing or intentionally introducing some delay in their reaching time. So by that time they will reach the cavity, the bunch electron can be debunched due to their mutual repulsion. So if you decrease the number of modes, that means if you increase the Rippler voltage and allow the electron to reach the cavity with a small duration of time after they have left the first cavity, by that time the electrons will not get enough time to be debunched by their mutual repulsion. So this is the case of the increasing or decreasing the efficiency for the oscillators, microwave oscillators based on reflex klystron.